So I was a cast member of the 2017 show here in Los Angeles, different theater. And then I fell in love with the organization and then decided a year ago with Karen Pickett, my co-producer, to produce the show ourselves. But really it's raising consciousness, trying to destigmatize mental illness, which is really what this is about, and trying to, flip the script and change the dialogue.
We were all pumping each other up before the show, during the show, and then the audience was cheering longer than I've ever heard an audience cheer at the end of pieces, because they could see how meaningful it was to share these things, and they were sending their support to the stage as well.
Thank you so much. It was an incredible experience to be able to share something so vulnerable with the audience and have them respond so strongly and to feel so validated in my journey and my experience. And it felt amazing just to be able to share my story in general, just put it out there in the world and feel seen.
It was an awesome experience to perform with an audience on this scale. Not only the brave introduction by Eldabh, but the succession of performers after then. I literally went from a point of trembling, aching rage to be healed in that process through the final performance of Angels in the Battlefield. It was actually a microcosm of the recovery experience, tapping into the madness and then feeling healed in conclusion.
And it was my first time on stage, and I really enjoyed it. Hope I can do something like this again. Being able to share my story with others, maybe they don't have someone they can go to, whether that's a family member, a friend, a therapist. They might not have that. And so even just being able to relate to somebody can make a huge difference. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this.
I performed a monologue about my experiences with OCD and major depressive disorder. And when I was asked to audition for this show, I was actually in the midst of one of, I'm going to say probably the worst major depressive episode of my life. So I decided to write about that experience and perform it.
Standing tall in your truth is the greatest form of bravery, in my opinion.
My performance tonight meant a lot for me personally, because this was the first time that I've gone up on stage and performed original music that I wrote in almost a decade. Like, you would look at the cast members and you'd be like, oh, these people would never have anything in common. But the thing is, everyone had a similar mission of just opening up and encouraging other people to not feel so alone in what they're struggling with. This Is My Brave, I think, is doing really great things and making the world a better place.
Hi everyone, I'm Karen Pickett.
And I'm John Tsilimparis. Welcome to the Los Angeles This Is My Brave show of 2022. Thank you. So this show today is the 82nd This Is My Brave show performed in the United States as well as in Australia. So that's since 2014. So that means close to 1,000 individuals with mental health conditions coming forward, getting on a stage like this and telling their stories. A remarkable achievement, Karen.
Absolutely.
82.
And for us, it's been an incredible journey putting this show on. John and I have been working hard as co-producers for over a year to bring you this show. And by the way, John, how did you put up with me all that time?
I don't know, Karen, but after this show is over today, I never want to talk to you again.
We're delighted that you're here today to join us in shining a light on ending the stigma surrounding mental health issues.
So give yourselves another round of applause for showing up on Sunday for this show. Woo! There is a lot of people out there. All right, Karen.
We hope you've had a chance to look over the program, which acknowledges all the people and organizations who've teamed up over the past year to bring you today's show. And I want to send a shout out to our local sponsors, and this is going to take a minute because we're so lucky to have quite a few. So if you'll bear with me.
Stay awake.
We're going to thank Mental Health America of Los Angeles, Rogers Behavioral Health, Newport Behavioral Health, the Resurface Group, Bridges to Recovery, Pacific Clinics, Life Adjustment Team, U.S. Executive Search, CPH and Associates, Polaris, Mission Harbor Behavioral Health, PCH, The Point Malibu, and Haas Wellness. Thank you all so much. This show would not have been possible without you. And in addition to our sponsors, those of you who are not associated with our sponsors, please feel free to visit them in the lobby if you haven't already after the show, where the cast will also join us. And we also want to thank our vendors, Kathy Bransfield and the House of Sacred Harmony. Yes. If you haven't already done so, please visit them in the lobby after the show. They are generously donating a portion of the proceeds of the sales to support our cause. We'd also like to take a moment to thank our videographer, Dan Mckechnie of Moving Images, and our photographer, Vince Bucci. Your generous support of our mission is greatly appreciated. We also actually want you to take out your cell phone, because I know usually it's like put it away, but we're like, no, we're a very social organization and we want you to take lots of photos and selfies and video clips and share them on your social networks by tagging @ThisIsMyBrave and using the hashtags Storytelling Saves Lives and Live Brave. We need your help to let the world know that we're here and that they can also know what it means to live brave. So please share away, and thank you in advance for your help. And now would also be a good time to turn your cell phone to silent. Thank you.
So this is what we know. So everybody here in this theater has been touched in some way by mental illness. Perhaps it happened to a friend or to a loved one. And everyone here has also had at least one of those moments, I know all of you have, whether it was for a minute or an hour or even a day, where you experienced so much worry that you feared you were going to lose your mind, and on top of that, lose everything that's important to you. Or you once felt so much profound sadness that you weren't sure if you were ever going to be happy again, or life suddenly didn't seem worth living because you felt so much despair. Well, imagine feeling that way all the time. Imagine not being able to stop that feeling and living with it every single day. For many people with mental illness, that is the truth, and that's what it feels like. But we're all here for another reason as well. We're all here because of a common thread: human compassion. We all know that when we feel compassion from others, we feel safe, we feel happy, and most importantly, we feel less alone. But when you suffer from mental illness, without that compassion for what you are experiencing, life can be a very lonely place. Human compassion is the eighth wonder of the world. Why? Because compassion is not hierarchical, it's reciprocal. Compassion has the ability to validate, not separate, and most importantly, to normalize, not stigmatize. The Buddha said thousands of candles can be lit from a single candle, and the life of that candle will not be shortened or even weakened. Compassion never decreases by being shared.
This Is My Brave exists not only for the cause of ending mental illness stigma, but to raise people's consciousness about mental illness today, so that we can positively impact the quality of treatment and care for everyone tomorrow. For example, it could inspire enhanced cooperation with insurance companies for future reimbursements. It's so much easier to prevent a mental health crisis than it is to repair one. This kind of preemptive action can save lives. So it's time to flip the script and reauthor the discourse, and what we mean by that is if all human organs like the heart, the lungs, the liver, the kidneys can function through no fault of our own, why can't the brain? Think about it. Most people are quick to act if something goes wrong with their bodies. Why not the mind, too? Just because mental illness can't be seen on an X-ray, a CAT scan, or a blood test doesn't mean it isn't real.
The 9 brave people you're going to hear from tonight are a special, gutsy group of individuals that we're all very proud of. Besides being a licensed psychotherapist myself for the last 28 years, I myself was a cast member of the Los Angeles This Is My Brave show in 2017. So I know how difficult it is to get up on this stage, bare your soul, and face rejection. You see, I believe we were not put on this earth to do great things. I believe we were put on this earth to do the little things great. The acorn is not inferior to the oak tree.
I'm also... I'm also a... 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 I'm also a licensed psychotherapist, a career I chose after suffering in shame and silence for many years with debilitating panic attacks, agoraphobia, and depression. I found hope in the desire to go on when others shared their similar experiences with me. I know firsthand that storytelling saves lives, and that's why I chose to co-produce this show for the third time in 6 years. So here we are. We hope that after the show you will be enlightened and inspired, and that you will leave with the transformed perception of the invisibility of mental illness thanks to the bravery of our wonderful cast. The reality is that 1 in 5 Americans lives with a diagnosable mental health condition. There is 1 death by suicide in the United States every 12 minutes, and 90% of those who die by suicide have an underlying mental illness at the time of their death. Because we don't talk enough about mental illness, people often suffer in silence. This continues to change today, right here on this stage. We're shining a light on mental illness to show the world that we're your friends, your family, your neighbors, your colleagues, your employees, and your community members. We hope that through our storytelling, you will better understand mental illness and be even more supportive to those in your life who experience it. You may even be inspired to tell your own story. Thank you again for coming to the show.
Before we begin and we bring out our first cast member, please welcome to the stage Chaille and John DeFaria, who will sing the song Brave by Sara Bareilles.
You can be amazing. You can turn a phrase into a weapon or a drug. You can be the outcast or the backlash of somebody's lack of love. Or you can start speaking up. Nothing's gonna hurt you the way that words do when they settle neath your skin. Kept on the inside, no sunlight, sometimes a shadow wins. But I wonder what would happen if you say what you want to say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave with what you wanna say. Just let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave. Everybody's been there, everybody's been stared down by the enemy. Kept on the inside, no sunlight, bow down to the mighty. Don't run, stop holding your tongue. Maybe there's a way out of this cage where we live. Maybe one of these days you can let the light in. Show me how big your brave is. Say what you wanna say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave with what you wanna say. Just let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave. Ever since your history of silence won't do you any good, did you think let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave with what you wanna say, and let the words fall out. Honestly, I wanna see you be brave.
Just wanna see you. Just wanna see you.
Just wanna see you. Just wanna see you be brave. Just wanna see you. Just wanna see you. Just wanna see you be brave. Thank you, John DeFaria. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And now, thank you. And now, I would like to introduce our very first cast member of This Is My Brave Los Angeles 2022, Amanda Eldabh.
Hi, thank you all for being here. My name is Amanda. I'm a licensed therapist who struggles with mental illness and substance use. I'll be performing a poem titled In the Name of Transparency and Mental Illness. Smile. They're looking at you. No, they can't tell it's fake. They never could. Just wave, smile, and nod. They can't see what you're thinking. They can't tell you're shaking. Okay, now, speak. Hey, y'all. No one wants you here. See how they're looking at you? You're exposed. Shut up. They haven't said anything to make you feel unwanted. Chill. Say something interesting. They'll listen. Just try to relate. I like this stage. I think it's dope. God, you're so weird. Retreat! Retreat! I guess it's time to rewind. My name's Amanda. Welcome to my mind. Reality weighs down on me. What I perceive to be true is but a reflection, a compilation of what I fear and what you've said, as well as what you failed to say. What I wanted to hear, but couldn't tell myself. So much of who I think I am reverberates from surrounding thoughts. All my emotions are raw. When I'm happy, I get excited. My voice gets high-pitched. I bark like a dog. I get bouncy. And I like to skip, and it gets really hard to sit. That's when they say, why is she so happy all the time? Can I just have some of that energy? They don't see that my mania comes with its own sense of ignorance. And when I'm sad, everything hurts. They tell me to just snap out of it. Look at all the things you've taken for granted. You've got a roof over your head, food on your plate. You're fully abled. You can hear my voice. You're not at jeopardy of being run out of the country. Think about all that privilege. You wear it around like it's nothing. How can you say you're depressed when there are people fighting for their last breath? And I'm not trying to diminish the spaces in which I impress others merely by my existence. I'm just trying to emphasize my truth. This is my position, and nothing can stop me until they see my diagnoses. Borderline personality disorder, bipolar disorder, generalized anxiety disorder. They're all just words. Labels don't define you. But that's such bull. They misdiagnosed you. You don't look depressed. Even when I was admitted for my suicide attempt, they let me know I didn't belong. You look like such a happy and innocent person. You don't look like you tried to kill yourself. It didn't matter how I felt or what I claimed to feel. I appeared normal. I'm boxed in. High functioning does not equate to happiness when all my thoughts are split between maintaining stability and fighting self-hatred. And I know my thoughts aren't healthy. Truth is, I'm a people pleaser. My value is in how you see me, and my labels make me less valuable in this capitalistic society. And the moments I unravel is justification that I'm unequipped. Pause. Where's that spirituality you're always going on about? The conviction of things not seen? Where's that hope? Revive your dry bones. Take a deep breath. Ground yourself. Put that smile back on. Smile, because that's what pretty girls do. Smile so you don't spread that negativity within you. I can no longer perform to this idea of sanity. I will no longer conform to this system. Don't be mad at me. It's just that sometimes I lose sight of reality. My vision's so narrow that all I can see is me. But then I'm reminded about humanity. Drop my ego and focus on the world around me. I gotta remember to smile and smile hard. Fight those tears. Fake a giggle. Confuse those dopamine receptors until maybe I'll smile for real, and I'll just keep smiling as I continue to heal. Thank you. Join me in welcoming our next performer, Patrick Jeffries.
Thank you, Amanda Eldabh. That was beautiful and it was an excellent presentation. Hi, my name is Pat Jeffries. I work as a peer partner in behavioral health care for Pacific Clinics at the Wellness Center in Pasadena. For 11 years, I have facilitated a creative writing group encouraging self-expression and healing through writing. The poem I'll be reading is about my first manic episode and psychotic break from reality, when I left USC with 4 units remaining to graduate. It is my hope in sharing this work that folks will be encouraged to own their story and define their past in a way that is true to themselves. At 23, he dove into a dream. Feverishly pressing 13, that floor not to be, know what I mean? Among wailing voices, sirens, Penelope screams, frantically fashioning a speech for the USC football team to rival what Martin Luther King Jr. can sing, Dying to Connect. Drawing his line in the sand, his square foot of space, his King's X. Nothing could exceed his ego's reach, will on fire with manic flair. If only he could translate his spirit and get there, just get there. He'd need his elixir of navy blue, Smirnoff 100 proof in Red Bull, poured of an ice stack high in a double gulp cup nice and full. Everybody's here to play. Wants to be made, needs to get laid. It's just an extraordinary madness at the end of the day. An extraordinary madness we all share along the way. Inhaling super long cools like it could recover one's breath. Excited, on the verge of agitated, riding the edge of death. pumping up on True and Creed, singing hooty-hoo, getting higher than the eye can see. He was at heaven's gate, somehow been granted the key. But heaven could wait. He still had a play to make for glory and immortality's sake. If only it is that easy to earn the right to sacrifice for history. When it is learned that is earned through a rite of passage, that is mystery. That wisdom would take years to acquire. Now he was inflamed in immediacy and urgency, emerging on fire. His hair, unwashed, spiked wild and untamed, rose blonde, ascending, looking like dancing flames. Everybody's here to play. Wants to be made, needs to get laid. It's just an extraordinary madness at the end of the day. An extraordinary madness we all share along the way. He wanted eyeliner, war paint, mama's red panties, wearing his black gold monogram robe, otherwise naked. This anticipated ritual and warrior exchange was booming from his heart and sacred, though he wanted it to be real, something that others would remember and feel. He needed a camera crew. Maybe mama could get a hold of John Singleton. How right, thankfully that was nearly a decade before the iPhone in 1984 sight. It was November 1999, and this was how he was getting down. A football god to be like Vince Lombardi or Jim Brown. Just as Prince had predicted, it was time to start partying. Ready to challenge the Trojan team to a game of bull in the ring. Man, this was a furious scene. A serious thing. If it was a cartoon, his nostrils would be releasing steam. Everybody's here to play. Wants to be made, needs to get laid. It's just an extraordinary madness at the end of the day. In extraordinary madness, we all share along the way. He had his daddy's oarsman back, rocky slab of beef-beating lats and psychotic like that. Well, hell, every bet would have paid back on the fact that with a shoulder and forearm blast, he could cream a cruising Cadillac in his tracks, let alone contact with any of their linebackers, safeties, backs, and linemen, no matter how powerful, fat, and or fast. And he just said frenetically, go ahead, let them work pass. He just needed Mama's Victoria's Secret. Ooh, imagine that. Now that's bad. His mom promised to meet his demands. This drew him in closer and kept him in a trance. Things weren't what they seemed. His mom was like the Pied Piper. In this dream, he thought he was a predator, more like a baby bunny rabbit within reach of a venomous viper. Everybody's here to play. Wants to be made, needs to get laid. It's just an extraordinary madness at the end of the day. An extraordinary madness we all share along the way. His mom carried him in the promise of glory. That would ultimately later be translated in the story. She lured him into her car. He thought they were headed to USC. Ironically, she landed him into UCLA's Psych Ward Hospitality. He was a player, an actor, up for improvisation, spontaneity, kept stepping into the act wildly, brand new to full-blown insanity. He knew how the hell to express what was wrong within him. Lines blurred as he threatened to trample the sacred, flirting with sin. Psychotic, paradoxical associations flying through his mind fast like, fight the power! And I need help. I don't know how to ask. He wanted it all. He wanted it now. But he didn't know how to bring it about. He really didn't know how. One thing he would learn by being burned, language of pain. For a mania as a steady dame is hardly to be trusted as a faithful flame. Everybody's here to play. Wants to be made, needs to get laid. It's just an extraordinary madness at the end of the day. An extraordinary madness we all share along the way. But do you know it? What's your madness? All right, beautiful. I just want to say, first of all, that was a lot of fun. I hope it wasn't scary, but I appreciate y'all giving me the time and space to tell my story. I really had to tell that story, and in that way, so thank you. Next up, I'm very confident you're going to enjoy the wildly talented, amazing Reba Buhr.
So my name's Reba. I am an actress, a host, and a voice actor, and I also live with generalized anxiety disorder and panic disorder. And this is a panic attack. Okay, so it's 9 a.m. I'm wearing a pink vinyl dress, and I'm covered head to toe in pink body paint because I am an actor. And I'm supposed to be some minor alien character from the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise. And I have been up all night working this Disneyland marathon. So I have not gone to bed yet from the night before. I am very tired. And I'm standing at the finish line. We're finally almost done. I'm waving at people as they cross it, going, "Congratulations, good work, you did it." She's a British alien. And my fucking thoughts show up. They go, "You're exhausted. You're uncomfortable. And you can't leave because everyone is looking at you. Ew, what are you doing here? Go away. What if you get so exhausted and uncomfortable that you pass out and you have to go to the emergency room?" Wait, can that happen? I don't know. Maybe. So my amygdala, which is the part of my brain that's responsible for processing all of my emotions, hears me think that and goes, "What? That's scary." And I already know that being overtired is a panic trigger for me. My brain lies to me and it tells me that that is a dangerous situation, so I try to get out ahead of it. I go, "Amygdala, honey, you're fine? We're gonna go home soon and we're gonna go to bed, okay? I'm gonna tell everybody." No, do not tell everybody. "I feel mildly physically uncomfortable and I'm so freaking scared of dying right now." It's too late. She's alerted the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is the brain's command center. It's responsible for communicating with the rest of the body. So it gets on the intercom and it goes, "Attention. This is a message for the endocrine system. The brain has detected something dangerous and scary. Please release appropriate hormones and prepare for fight, flight, or freeze." And I'm still trying to stop the inevitable, so I'm like, cancel, fight, flight, or freeze. Did you say Cantonese? What? No! Initiating. So the endocrine system controls all of your hormones. And the hormones that are at play here are adrenaline and cortisol. And they are released from your adrenal glands, which are located right here above your kidneys. And this is when the party really starts. So adrenaline comes stomping onto the scene like a general to a battlefield, and it goes, all right, troops, just got word from command that we're in mortal danger. It's time for action. Blood, get over here. All right, you're being deployed to the arms, legs, and eyes. We may need to run at a moment's notice. And you sorry excuses for lungs, start pumping double time. I need more oxygen. Heart, might as well start running now. Could be anything out there. Insurgents, landmines, unpeeled potatoes. So as a result, I get this flush of cold as all the blood in my body starts getting diverted to different places. And my vinyl alien dress starts to feel tight. And I can feel my heart pounding in my chest, even though I'm just standing there. And I'm like, hey, body, you know, all the things you're doing right now, kind of making me more uncomfortable, which I believe was the original complaint. I don't care about your comfort. There's a war on. I need all these resources to fight. But there's nothing to fight. Shut up, I'm busy. So then we bring out cortisol, adrenaline's right-hand man, the stress hormone. Cortisol! Yes, sir. I need all hands on deck until I can get us out of this conflict. Go around and shut down all unnecessary systems. Yes, sir. Oh, right away, sir. And where does cortisol run off to? You might be surprised. He goes to the stomach. Sorry, we need to shut everything down. General's orders, we're under attack. And my stomach's over here like, seriously? I was in the middle of digesting the weird actor lunch we ate at 4 a.m. What do you want me to do with all this food? Well, just get rid of it. We can't be wasting time. You don't want me to absorb this water or these nutrients or nothing? No, we can't be wasting energy. Whatever you say. So my stomach's like, all right, everyone out, kitchen's closed. I'm making the thought of food repulsive until further notice. Intestines, keep pooping till you can't poop no more. I'm turning up the churning and the acid production until we gotten rid of everything. Yeah, I know we're in the middle of the Toy Story parking lot. What the fuck you want me to do? Oh, crap. Literally. I dash for the porta potty that's set up at the finish line, and I'm sitting there on the toilet with my legs covered in pink body paint, having relentless diarrhea. And my stomach is so full of acid, and I'm burping, and the only way to calm it would be to eat, but I do not want to eat. And all my coworkers are outside going, where's Reba? She's supposed to be making magic right now. And I'm sitting on that toilet going, magic's over. I am now making something very different. So, the race ends. We're done. It's time to go home. You'd think I'd feel better. But the thing about hormones is they're released into your bloodstream. So once they're in there, it takes a while for you to metabolize them out. So I go, hey, adrenaline. So we're done. Gonna go home. Gonna go to bed. Do you think maybe we could stop with the, Listen, kid. You're probably gonna have to do something upsetting in a Starbucks bathroom on the way home. But don't worry, you'll feel better in a few days. Thanks. And that is a panic attack. If I'm gonna be honest, I've spent a lot of years really hating my body because it feels like it betrays me. It feels like it grabs the wheel when I don't want it to and it starts driving us off a cliff. My panic attacks used to scare me so much I would go to the emergency room. I thought I was dying. And I still have trust issues.
I still feel a lot of shame when I panic in front of other people because it feels like I'm weak and I'm not in control. But I have gained a lot of comfort from understanding what's going on in me biologically during a panic attack, and now I can talk to them like this. And they're still uncomfortable, and they're still embarrassing. But they don't run my life anymore. And I want the same for anyone else out there who lives with panic. Thank you so much. All right, let's keep that applause going for our next cast member, Miss Kayla Gosnell.
Hi, my name is Kayla Gosnell, and I will be performing a spoken word piece about complex PTSD and everything that comes with it. A quote from my journal. I had a realization just now at how lonely it is to be struggling with what I struggle with, and for so few people to understand what it entails. I definitely do push people away. I suppose I could try to tell people the inner workings of my mind, how scary it can be sometimes. I get kind of tired of having been through a lot. And thus this is titled, I've Been Through Kind of a Lot. I'm tired of having been through a lot, but who can know what that really means? The monsters in my head come out at night, attacking my flimsy reality through my dreams. Maybe it would be nice to explain it, to try and convey how hard it's been. Disturbing sensations with no explanations from the doctors who are supposed to know how to help you. Maybe it's kind of lonely, always the one with a problem, never quite at peace, feeling like I'm burdening those I love with constant reminders that life with me can rarely be simple. I mean, I guess I'm doing all right, getting through it day by day. But hey, here's a question. How many therapists need to tell me how good my emotional intelligence is for me to stop needing to see a fucking therapist? I guess PTSD is just something I live with. There are no casual interactions with men. I don't really know how that works, but I know I often don't feel strong enough to live the life I deserve. PTSD is being afraid that any man is attracted to you. So you subconsciously force yourself to eat and eat and eat so that nobody will think you're pretty, especially you. You use your fat as a wall to hide your true self and protect yourself in the only way you know how. And then you still end up being scared of them anyways. PTSD is being afraid to be alone with a man, any man, your friend, your boyfriend, your own father. Nobody is safe. You never really feel safe except when you're by yourself. But then the loneliness sets in. I really wish it wasn't like this. It's a desire stronger than I knew I was capable of feeling. I'm tired of the medications and the meditations and the always searching for something that will stop making me, me. I'm only 24, and I hear these things only get worse with age. I see it in my mother, an entity of pure anxiety. My destiny lies within her, and I can feel the misery approaching. It's rising above the horizon, a deathly black sun whose rays are reaching out to wrap their fingers around my throat, and they're choking me, drowning me in a well of Ativan and my own lost potential. But I've been thinking, maybe I should just move to a nudist colony. I'll buy a farm and I'll start walking on all fours and I'll become one with the sheep, eating grass and shaving myself to make nice human fur blankets every few weeks. I've always been curious about bestiality. Who hasn't? And I see your faces. But why not? It's my goddamn life. And childhood sexual abuse makes you feel like your life isn't your own anymore. It never was. They took my joyful, youthful little life into their hands, and they held it out like a ripe tomato in the summer sun, and then they threw it on the ground and they stomped on it. And they laughed and they ran away before they could watch it go slimy and mold over, filling with maggots and eroding to the core. And this show is my way of taking my life back into my own hands. So to my abusers, fuck you. Fuck you to the man. No. Fuck you to the man who assaulted me when I was too drunk to say no. You were my first kiss, as if I needed another reason to remember you. And to my childhood abuser, fuck you for thinking that beautiful, innocent, bowl-cut-having, wiggles-loving 2-year-old me was yours to touch. I deserve so much better than everything you both gave me. The pain I've been through to get over the actions of these men has been indescribable, and they've dealt with so little, some nothing in comparison. Do you understand how unfair that is? I have to deal with the permanent, heavy byproducts of their broken, toxic brains, and it's lonely. It's really lonely. Throughout my life, so many people have rejected me for embodying the pain of the actions that other people have put me through. And I have to work on myself every single day and still be anxious because they are in my head. These men are the negative voices I can't get rid of, telling me that I'm not good enough, that I deserved it, that I will never, ever be happy. And there have been so many times I've wanted to give up. And I almost did. But every time you want to give up, you're letting them win. Of course you're stronger than them. Of course you deserved better. But no matter how stupidly terrible it is, this is what happened. This is what life gave me. And only I can choose what to do with it. No matter how painful or how unfair it is. I choose to go to therapy. I choose to meditate every single day, even though I fucking hate it. And to take medications with terrible side effects for years and years and years, because when I do, I feel better. When I do, I have the power to exorcise the demons that have been unwillingly placed inside of me. And their demons are so much scarier than I ever could have imagined. And for a long time, their demons made life seem too scary for me. But here's the secret. I'm scarier. I am every angel, every demon, every fucking entity that I need to be in order to give myself the life I deserve. I give myself goosebumps. And so you know what? I guess I've been through kind of a lot, but I know I'll be okay. You work through it all, and at the end of the day, you just have to be proud of yourself for making your own way. And I am proud of myself. I really am. Thank you so much. Our next performer is the incredibly talented Naeem Veera.
My name is Naeem Veera. I'm 15 years old, and I struggle with anxiety, depression, addiction, ADD, and PTSD. I've been struggling with mental illness for as long as I can remember, and have experienced trauma throughout my life. The most recent incident was a few months ago, when I witnessed a shooting during a fellowship for my treatment center. This event affected me deeply, causing me to relive the events of that night repeatedly. My sober date is July 19th, and my self-harm date is August 31st, 2021. I've prepared 3 poems: My Dear Chameleon, a poem about my experience with addiction, and 2 poems describing the shooting. My dear chameleon, to drink is to die. Addiction, a disease, a parasite that grows the more you feed into it. A parasite that grows every time you convince yourself that these drugs, that this alcohol is helping you, saving you from this cruel, unforgiving life. A parasite that latches on to those who doubt themselves and wish they were simply never born. It feeds on them, mutates into a monster, ugly and deformed, nothing like the friendly, loving hand that had once reached out to you. Promising to make everything go away, promising that it alone could fix you. The justice system, turning a blind eye to those mangled, ripped to pieces by a beast of their own creation. Turning a blind eye to those clinging onto the idea that it wasn't a lie. That this poison they smoke, swallow, and inject into themselves will eventually save them. That if they keep nurturing and caring for this leech, it will one day put them out of their misery. That it will one day lull them into a deep, never-ending sleep. To drink is to die. 2/5/22. Broken, battered, bloodied, the desperation written on her face was etched into my brain. A mental picture. I was constantly walking through the art gallery of that night. All the events hammered into my mind, a part of its structure. The images were nailed into me. I couldn't take them down. Walking through some kind of fucked up slideshow. I wanted to leave, but the doors were locked. 2/5/22. My personal hell. I was completely overwhelmed, surrounded in lonely silence, followed by screams, the screams of the children and their parents desperate to escape. It wasn't real. Why was I feeling this? The parking lot, the blood dripping from her head to her feet, surely that was real. It felt too real, too paralyzing to just be a dream or a delusion. I wasn't crazy. The trembling in her voice, the terror in her eyes, she was able to escape, drive away. So why was I trapped here? Thank you. Help me give a big round of applause to Hannah Halo Richards.
My name is Hannah, also known as Halo, and I'm a voice actor, mother, and singer-songwriter from Burbank, California. I live with a high-functioning anxiety disorder, and because I'm also a mother of 2 and a creative empath, I've learned some coping mechanisms and healthy outlets to try to keep my life in balance. And music is my go-to outlet for stress and anxiety. I'm going to share a song that I wrote in the depths of lockdown during a particularly heavy and anxious time. I started writing to help myself step outside of my spiking panic, and as I wrote, it became a love letter to encourage some loved ones who were struggling with dark thoughts and depression at the time. I realized that by turning the words of hope and encouragement into music, I could hold space for and uplift many others who were hurting with my words and my voice. And this song is called Hold On. There is beauty everywhere, and it is beautiful to care when your arms are open wide. You have nothing left to hide. Come down and keep your eyes open and just look around and tell me what you see. Hold on to this moment and breathe in deep with me. Look around and don't forget how far away it all used to seem. You are stronger than you know, and I am never letting go. There is so much to believe in. You will see the sun again. So let your walls come down and keep your eyes open and just look around and tell me what you see. Hold on to this moment and breathe in deep with me. Look around and don't forget how far away this all used to seem. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. There is beauty everywhere, and it is beautiful to care when your arms are open wide. You have nothing left to hide. Thank you. Please help me give a warm welcome to Miss Alegra Kastens.
So my name is Alegra, and I'm a therapist who lives with OCD and depression. And earlier this year, I decided to impulsively go on a road trip across the country with my two dogs and Somewhere between South Carolina and Nashville, I fell into the worst major depressive episode of my entire life. In hindsight, I probably should have listened to my therapist of 7 years who told me not to, but why listen to your therapist when you can kind of just go rogue and fuck your life up instead? So it's pretty much my life. So I wrote this piece during that time. It kind of describes my experience with a major depressive episode. I do feel better now, so nobody needs to call the authorities after this, okay? Have you ever thought about fucking your dog? I have. Or about pushing a stranger in front of a bus? Or about your parents having sex and it makes you want to puke? Every human experiences one of these thoughts from time to time and can brush them off, but they stick for the person with obsessive compulsive disorder. And that's me. I have OCD, but I spent my young 20s questioning my identity, wondering if I was schizophrenic, and fearing that I had turned into a monster because my brain turned against me. For 7 years, I was most afraid of the thing I can never escape, my own mind. It started at age 19 when I experienced the first intrusive thought, one of thousands, that almost ended my life. I was standing at the register of a clothing boutique when I heard, "What if you had sex with that child?" in my brain. I say I heard it because I didn't purposely think it and I knew it wasn't me. It felt like a demon took over my brain, and it would be years before I would come to realize that this demon had a name, OCD. This is because I wasn't experiencing the socially acceptable doubt that you turn the stove off kind of OCD. I was living with a far more taboo and far less understood kind that made me doubt everything I knew about myself. All day, every day, I was assaulted by sexual thoughts about kids, family members, colleagues, animals, and friends. Nothing was off limits. My brain could turn a tree into something sexual. My illness was also invisible. I didn't compulsively wash my hands until they bled, but spent hours of the day performing mental compulsions and trying to get rid of the thoughts. I tried my best to avoid triggers, even though everything was one. I couldn't read books without the scary thoughts morphing into the words, so I stopped reading altogether and had to drop out of college. I couldn't watch TV or movies or drive long distances because sitting for too long meant having to listen to the soundtrack of hell on repeat in my brain. I couldn't even go to therapy without having sexual thoughts about my 60-year-old therapist. She is hot, but not the vibe. There was no respite. When my boss saw me crying at work one day and asked me to leave my problems at home, I didn't know how to tell her that I couldn't leave my brain on my bedside table. Same. Sleep was not even a savior, but a source of immense dread. The possibility of dreaming about the thoughts kept me awake night after night. I did dream of death, though, when I was awake. It was the only escape. And while that's the reality of OCD for so many, and I survived it, it's not really the reality that I want to be talking about. I want to talk about how surviving that should be enough for me, but it isn't. I want to talk about how lucky I should feel to be living free of OCD when I begged to a God I didn't believe in to rid me of it. When I continuously wished I had cancer instead because at least I'd still have my brain and my identity. And I want to talk about how fucked up it is that my kind of luck is defined not by good things that happen, but torturous things that pass. I want to talk about the antidepressants and the therapy and how many times I still ask my therapist, when is this going to help? I want to talk about my alter ego called success that masks how frequently I still think about death, because I do. I want to take the mask off. People often ask me what my name means. Alegra, it means joyful and happy, I tell them. But I don't tell them that I'm not happy much of the time. I don't tell them about the bone-deep loneliness that makes death sound better than life, or how hard I have to work to get out of bed some mornings. I don't tell them that I still pray to a God I don't believe in, or that depression has built a home in my brain and body. I don't tell them that my biggest fear in life is never having a family of my own, and that maybe I'm too fundamentally flawed for someone to attach to me. I don't tell them about the guilt. How could I survive the worst thing I'll ever experience and still desire more? It feels gluttonous to ask for a family when I gave that up in prayer 6 years ago. When I made a pact with God that I won't need kids or a partner if the OCD goes away. Living without OCD was all I ever thought I'd need because that's what desperation does to you. So I don't feel lucky. I feel very unlucky and guilty and depressed and afraid and alone. As I write this, I feel like I'm on the verge of a Britney 2000 meltdown, except I like my hair too much to shave it off. And in some ways, our experiences mirror one another. The external facade that doesn't match up to our internal erosion. When I was asked to share my experiences with you all, a producer told me how funny I am, and I wondered if that's what was expected of me, that I'd get up here and make people laugh. A close friend even read this through and told me to make it more positive and empowering. But I don't have positive and empowering right now. All I have is honesty and reality. This isn't an Instagram highlight reel or a before and after success story. This is the messy truth about my life. There's a phrase that therapists commonly say, meet the client where they're at. So this is me, standing in front of all of you, meeting myself where I'm at, and that has to be enough. So we are quite literally so lucky to have our next performer here, the lovely, incredible, talented, handsome Joe Cockrell.
Wow. Wow, what a beautiful audience. Thank you so much for coming out to support our show. I'm also involved with the production of the show, and I thank you all for being here today to support all of us. And if you're here to support me, thank you so much. It means the world to me. And come see me after the show. And to my castmates, this has been an incredible journey, and I love you all. Yeah, incredible. So my name is Joe. I'll be doing a monologue entitled October Mourning, and I'd like to dedicate it to Matthew and Judy Shepard. The last thing I remember is becoming violently ill and crawling to the bathroom of my hotel room where I passed out in a puddle of vomit. I was 23 years old. It was October of 1998, just a few days before Halloween, and I felt like my life was a nightmare. So, I swallowed an entire bottle of pills I was certain would kill me and washed it down with a bottle of vodka. What demon was I trying to escape from? Well, I was about 12 years old when I came to the painful, shameful realization that I am gay. I was enamored with the show Star Trek: The Next Generation, and it was after watching an episode that I realized I had a crush on Wesley Crusher, the teenage character played by actor Will Wheaton. For those of you who are not nerds, he's also one of the stars of the movie Stand By Me. But why would that make me feel shame? Because I grew up in a heterosexist, deeply conservative community in rural Iowa. In the county where I grew up, there were more cows and pigs than people. And my extremely religious parents forced us to go to church every week where we were taught to fear the wrath of God for our sins. And being gay, that was a big one. Regardless of what some political or religious ideologies would have you believe, I can stand here today and tell you that being gay is not a choice. In the words of Lady Gaga, I was born this way. That's right. But I hid my feelings for Wesley Crusher and every other boy I had a crush on during my adolescence years and lived out my teenage and college years pretending to be straight. The fact that I have an identical twin brother who is not gay made it even more difficult. And even though he didn't understand, he was my biggest supporter when I finally decided to tell him the truth about myself. Are you sure? Yes. Have you been with a guy? Yes. Well, why am I left-handed and you're right-handed? I see this is no different, he told me. Yeah. But sadly, not everyone shared my twin brother's acceptance. Many members of my large, extended, and very religious family disowned me when I came out, including my own parents. My reaction to their excommunication was indifference. I was about to graduate from college and start a career in TV news. To hell with you! I can make it on my own. So, after college, I moved away to the big city, Omaha, where I started my career. What I know now is that, after years of therapy, is that when people are forced to separate their identities between what they think society and their family accepts and what is undeniably true about themselves, it leads to psychological disaster. And I was indeed a disaster. Instead of getting the mental help I so desperately needed, I engaged in a reckless pattern of self-destructive behavior. I think the only thing that kept me from getting into illegal drugs was the fact that there were random drug tests at the TV station where I worked. Which leads me back to where my story started. Passed out in a pool of puke on the bathroom floor. You see, I was part of the news team assigned to cover the brutal murder of Matthew Shepard, the 21-year-old gay college student who was beaten and left for dead in Laramie, Wyoming. 6 days later, he succumbed to his injuries. And after he died, I watched in horror as homophobic religious groups protested his funeral. His fucking funeral! I'll never forget, there were people protesting with their children, little kids holding signs that said, "God hates fags." My untreated mental health and my grief for Matthew and his family, it spiraled into a full-blown crisis that night. The internalized homophobia, the self-loathing, the deep emotional wounds of being disowned by people I'd loved my whole life, and the fear of getting AIDS, because that's what happens to faggots. It was all too much. It was all too much. In my young and troubled mind, I thought it would be better to be dead than gay. When I woke up on the bathroom floor, I didn't know what to do. I was obviously not okay, but I did nothing. I felt this sort of detachment and numbness about life. And to deal with that, I'd done what I'd always done. I pretended I was okay. I pretended to be normal. I know now that I was in a deep state of crisis and depression, and the things that I saw in Laramie were so personally traumatic that I would carry them with me until I got the psychiatric care that I needed. Ironically, it was Matthew Shepard's mother, Judy Shepard, who inspired me to do that. It was about a year after the murder trial of Matthew's killers, and she was in the area to speak at a local college, so I covered that for the news. She said, "Progress can only be made when people stand up and speak up." Her powerful message and her unwavering love for her gay son, not shame and rejection, ignited an inner strength in me. And I got the help I needed. And I started making changes. Some of those changes took longer than others. After many years of being estranged from my parents, we did reconcile. And today, I enjoy life in a way that I never thought would be possible back then. You see, that's the thing about suicidal thoughts. Your mind becomes incapable of imagining anything better. So if you're struggling today, my message to you is it gets better. Reach out. Get the help that you need. You matter. In a world full of hate and ignorance and intolerance, I hope that you'll be like my twin brother, and Judy Shepard, and Lady Gaga. Emanate love and acceptance. Be an ally to those who are oppressed. If someone tells you they're struggling with their identities and they think they might be something other than cisgendered straight, reaffirm the hard process they're going through. Tell them they're loved no matter what, because trust me, it's really, really hard. So I'm going to end with a few more words from Lady Gaga. No matter gay, straight, or bi, lesbian, transgender life, I'm on the right track, baby. I was born to survive. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born to be brave. Thank you. Thank you. Now I get the pleasure of introducing our final performer for today, who is literally gonna rock this place. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. J.D. McGibney.
Hi, everybody. My name is J.D. McGibney, and I battle with generalized anxiety disorder. As far back as I can remember, there's always been this sense of worry in the back of my mind, even as a little kid. By the time I reached adolescence, it turned into a subtle yet consistent feeling of impending doom that was always with me. And over time, that sense of worry and that feeling of impending doom led to feelings of extreme unworthiness and a severe lack of self-confidence. Basically, I second-guessed almost every single decision I ever wanted to make, and I was always overwhelmed by my emotions. When I was 14, I was driving in the car with my dad one day, and a song came on the radio. It caught my attention, and for the briefest of moments, it quieted my anxiety. When the song ended, I turned to my dad and I said, "Dad, I want to learn how to play guitar." So a few days later, my grandparents, his parents, went into a closet, dug out the old acoustic guitar that he had tried learning how to play when he was a little kid, and gave it to me. And I had started learning a craft that would not only become the focus of my career, but would become the pillar to help me through the worst of my anxiety-fueled moments. That, and seeking the help of a mental health professional, of course. I joined my first band when I was in high school, and I started writing music with other people. And over the next few years, I was in and out of bands, and I continued to write music with groups, but I never had the confidence to do so on my own. Fast forward a little bit, right before I decided to move to LA and pursue a career in entertainment full-time, I had just graduated college, and the band that I was in back on Long Island broke up. I was feeling really lost. I didn't really have enough confidence to know what it is that I wanted to do. I did, however, have a bunch of music that I was working on prior to the band disbanding. So one day I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to finish writing one song, all on my own. I'm going to record it, and I'm going to release it as an instrumental. So I did that. I wrote a song, I went to a studio, and with the help of a buddy and a studio drummer, I recorded it, filmed a YouTube video, and I released it. And then seeing that I had physically done something that I'd been so intimidated to do, I realized that no matter what my anxiety was telling me, that I would always have the strength to conquer any battlefield before me. For me, that song ended up becoming an anthem and a catalyst for me to go out and pursue my dreams. So today, I want to share that song with you guys. And to help me is my band, Angels on the Battlefield. Mr. Jason Klein, Mr. William Learman, and Mr. Chris Wersig. Ladies and gentlemen, this song is On the Wings of Dragons.
Let's give our cast a big round of applause. Keep it going.
2022 Los Angeles cast members.
We'd also like to thank the rest of our production team, Chaille and John DeFaria, Katie Holtz. Come on out and take a bow with the cast. Thank you so much. We'd love to meet you in the lobby where we can gather and visit with some of our sponsors in the cast. But first, how about one more round of applause for our amazing Los Angeles storytellers. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for coming.